All right, we love to look at game video. Help us get better. That's what we're doing today. Let's look at plays. Stick around. Greetings and welcome back to another episode of 5 Play Friday, where we look at game video clips, analyze it for all the things so that we can get better as basketball officials. Greetings again, everybody. My name is Greg Austin with abetterofficial.com, where we craft video to help basketball officials get better and take control of their officiating career. We live stream every Wednesday and Friday so that we can all get better together. If you are new, you are here, you are seeing this video, and this is the video content that you find valuable as a basketball official, great time to do all the things. Make sure to hit like, subscribe, and notify so you don't miss out whenever we have new video content. Allow me to thank our fantastic channel and show supporters: Gerald Masucci, Danny Bermudez, Thomas Anticola, Phil Haddad, and Amilcar Garcia. Much appreciated and much love. You want to support the show, you can always head over to abetterofficial.com/coffee. I'm going to put a link in the show notes below. All right, today we're looking at game video to help us get better. If you are watching this episode of 5 Play Friday, you have a question or a comment, put it in the comments below and put the timestamp. Allows me to access what we're referring to, right? And we've had some feedback about the length of our videos, right? We are definitely longer than we used to be because we film live. We don't want to be held back by highly editing, etc. So here's the deal. I will always put timestamps in the description below. Play number 1 at this timestamp. If you go to the description, you can always hit the timestamp, look at the play. Here's some analysis. If you want to stay with it, you can. If you want to move on, you can always go to the next play utilizing those timestamps. So if you're in a hurry and you want to take, skim the content, that's the best way to go about it. All right, let's get started today and look at our very first video play. All right. So when we talk about throw-in rules and restrictions, one of the things we talk about is the player extending the ball through the plane over the court and what happens then. It's a unique situation in basketball, but it's great to have a clip like this that was provided on Facebook by Sadiq Pettijohn. A great play like this where we could see the actual, in the wild. Right? We don't often get to see plays like this. They're sort of talked about and we can imagine them, but to see one is actually tremendous. So in this situation, we have a throw-in. We have a player extending the ball through the plane over the court and a defender contacting the basketball. Right? Is this a legal play? Is this legal by rule? We obviously need to know that. Now, this is an NBA game, right? NBA rules may be different than high school, right? So what we want to do here is take the play on its merits and say, what do we have in a high school game, right? This is a legal play by the defender. They are allowed to contact the basketball when it is held over the court, and they are not allowed to violate the plane and reach through the plane and contact the basketball in the same fashion. But if the ball is over the court, then it is fair game, and our defender would be allowed to grab the ball. We could have a held ball situation, or they are allowed to contact the basketball and dislodge the basketball. Legal by rule. So it's great to be able to see these plays, right? so that we can, take it, so we're not imagining anymore, we're seeing the play live. Now look at this play for what it is. The offensive player extends the ball and literally sticks it in the opponent's face. What if they contacted the opponent's face with the basketball, right? Or shoved the player, utilizing the basketball, shoved the player. Wow, that would be a really interesting scenario if that occurred in our game, right? So it's just great to see this play occur. This would be legal in National Federation of High School Basketball rules. One of the situations we're looking at here is this is a wily NBA player extending the ball, right? He's doing this action on purpose. He's trying to draw a reaction. And what do we expect to see, right? High school players are going to see plays like this and think, oh, I'm a smarty pants. I'm going to do this. And then may be surprised when they find out that the defender's action is legal on this play. If we had contact, if this player extended the ball and created contact with the defender with the basketball, to me that rises to the level of a technical foul. It's not a contact foul, but it's an intentional act, and yeah, it'd be interesting. All right, so there's our first play. Gets us started, gets the juices flowing. Let's look at our very next play. All right, come on, ref. So we had a question on Wednesday on Basketball Rules Expert about substitute being who is replaced, re-entering the game, and that's what we have here on this situation. We have our player here, number 15, is substituted out of the game. A replacement comes in. And ultimately, the coach then sends them to the table, and our crew does not recognize. Center official may have been taking a little me time, which we are always vulnerable to do in free throw situations. Knows that something is amiss. Here's the thing. You got the game. The game has a flow. It's going on, and we're interrupting the game to do something procedural. What do we have to have certainty about the play. Did not have certainty in this situation, and ultimately just said, you know what, I'm only 80% certain that that player substituted out and would have to sit for a tick. But by rule here, this player is legally substituted for and may not return to the game until the clock properly starts. Right? The game energy wants to go forward here. Right? And we're the only one in the building who knows that something is amiss. So that puts a lot of pressure. We have to go with that certainty. Didn't have it in this situation. The important thing here is to recognize that by rule, this player is not allowed to return. and our crew did not get this right. Center officials on an island here, no feedback from partners, etc. Interesting, when I watched this play, actually had the conversation with 15. He comes over and has a comment, and the center official engages, right? I don't know if that helped or hindered here. It's like, wait, I was just talking to that guy, and now he's coming into the game, ultimately on the substitution. So the important thing here is to recognize that we have done things incorrectly here. Center official allowed the substitute into the game. They should have been prevented. Coach, that player cannot play. What we have to have is awareness on a play like this, and we have to have certainty, right? We can't be saying, oh, this player can't come in unless we absolutely know that that's the case. So that's our only defense here. In the end, center official says, I'm not sure, we're going to go, right? The game wants to go forward. You see, the players are already playing defense, right? Everybody wants to go forward, right? So our rule here is that the player who is substituted out may not return until the clock has properly started. The player who replaced them does not have to play and the clock to start. They are in the game, they are legal, but they can be substituted for, just not by that player. I think this official needs a second chance. Let's look at a similar play and see if we can get that right. All right. On the second opportunity, we get it right. But again, our clock has not properly started on this play. That player just needs to be, is not allowed to enter the game by rule until the clock has properly started. How we communicate that to the coach, etc., in this situation. So we see a little like probably saying, hey, coach, the clock has to run before they can come in, something like that. So on our second chance here, our official gets the play right. Right, we need to have that game awareness. We need to have it as a crew. Sometimes, we're always vulnerable in free throw situations. We're always vulnerable to just taking a moment where we disconnect from the game and what's going on. That's a risk that we have. And when we recognize those situations, it can help us, try to maintain our focus in free throw situations. So recognize that in free throw situations, we are potentially vulnerable to losing concentration on the game, right? But we need to be aware of these substitutes, especially sometimes we get into end of game situations where a coach says, I want this player in on defense, but I don't want them in on offense. So I'm going to, have two players switch back and forth. I'm going to substitute frequently. And sometimes a free throw situation comes up where they then want that player back in. So we do have to have that awareness so that we can get these plays right. Thanks, Zooch. Okay, let's look at play number 4. So this is a play, there's nothing occurs on this play, but there's a couple of attributes about it when we're analyzing our game video, right? We need to recognize that this team is running some sort of weave action, which means that offensive players are passing and then moving towards the defender of the player that they pass to. So in this situation, we need to be really aware of possible screening action on a play. Also, we are here in California, and this is a situation where there's a shot clock involved. And if you are in other parts of the country, possibly shot clocks will be on the horizon for you. This team runs offense, right, for a period of time, but everybody in the gym knows that the shot clock is getting low. We start to get a count from the bench. And so the officials are alerted, and the officials need to be aware. And ultimately, our trail official, who is in sort of a passive watching the weave action going on, once the shot clock gets low, we know what's going to happen next. And when that's the case, when we know that a shot is imminent, we can't maintain that passive position, right? So if we look on the play here, right, trail official, watching this lateral action between the players in a very much a static position, but now our shot clock is getting low. The energy in the building rises, and we know what has to happen next. So now we need to position adjust to get that look on the play so we can have that open look, right? Clock situations can give us that. We're obviously in the same situation in the end of game, right? We could have the same situation where our position on the court is relatively passive because there's no action that we have to position adjust for. We are aware that the team is running offense, etc. But when we know that a shot is imminent, we have to position adjust as officials so that we can get the proper look on the play. And that's what we have here on this play, right? The shot clock was down very low, and we have to position adjust to see that play. So when we analyze our game video, we're looking at all the things, right? And I'd say the position of the trail here is acceptable for the initial action, right? Doesn't involve a lot of position adjustment here. The team is sort of taking passive side-to-side action. We're sort of waiting for something else to happen. But then when that shot clock gets low and we know that a shot is imminent, have to position adjust so we can have this look right there. If we maintain a mindset that we are going to have an open look on plays, right, it's great to have the heads up that, hey, we're about to have a shot. Sometimes we can get surprised by the action of a player. He moved in a position that I didn't anticipate, and now I don't have the open look, but we have to keep fighting for that open look on plays. So shot clock situation here in California, two-person crew, right? Trail, right, works very low to get this open look. They are basically in a center position, ultimately, for the open look on the play. Stick around for rebound, and then go, right? That's what we want as trail officials. Okay, we got a doozy now for our next play. This play is layered. Let's take a look at our next play. Okay, lots going on here. Let's go back. Right. Let's watch what happens coming down the court. Get out the way, ref. So on the trip down the floor, we have a player who has a defensive player sticks out their leg and trips this player. And this is unofficiated. They go to the floor. They appeal to the ref. Hey, ref, didn't you see that? Right? Ultimately, they get the ball, make a move. Right, I assume we have a hand check foul there by the lead official, leaves the spot. White team huddles. Red player comes into the huddle and has something to say to the player who tripped him. Horn sounds. Subs enter the game. Oh. Okay, so there's a lot going on this play. Okay, so this is second half action, right? So the game has been going on, and we have that tripping foul that's unofficiated, right? Center official should catch that. Lead official should have an open look on the play. Let's look at the positioning of our crew on the original play. Okay, so our lead has those two post players, right? We often get this as lead. We've got players that are sort of displacing us and forcing us to go wide and preventing him, but he's picking up the post action. This looks like potentially a matchup that has been a part of this game, and we want the lead to focus on that. Our center official looks up ahead, seemed to be looking ahead of the play, right? Missed it. They're at a tough angle. I mean, we can see what happens on the play, but they're at a tough angle. And that play is missed. Right, so we have a hand-checking foul. I find the signal to be a little confusing. It's funny, in National Federation of High School, the punch has been eliminated, citing confusion as the reason. It's unclear here. I mean, we could be confusing this with displacement foul on the offensive player. But in any event, you know, we have sort of an exaggerated spot of the foul signal by the official, the calling official, and then they move away, right? There wasn't anything really going on there. But if we lingered at the spot, maybe we have the ability to, prevent the player coming in or address them early. Now, we did know that 55 was frustrated, right? We did know that because they had said, hey, ref, he tripped me, right? So we've got a red player who comes into the white team's little huddle situation and has something to say to the player who tripped him. And then we've got energy there. And then we have substitutes coming on the floor. Do we have a situation where a fight may break out? That's a judgment call. But we would expect at this point of the game that we have addressed subs just wandering onto the court when the horn sounds. So we need to make it, we had the player approach the huddle, have something to say to the player who tripped him, we've got some energy there. We need to make a judgment there about whether an unsporting technical would be appropriate here. And that's where we make the big bucks. But in the end, we see the clip, and basically the impression that I come away with is we've sort of lost control of what's going on in the game. I mean, you know, that's a relative term, right? And, you know, we get guidance from National Federation of High School about using proper signals, etc., not calling attention to ourselves. But in the end, we have to recognize spirit and intent of signals, communication. When we make an action on the court, it should clearly communicate what we have and not be confusing, right? If we use signals that provide, you know, don't clearly communicate and only lead to more confusion, that's where the problem lies, right? So I think we have that on this play. That's an opinion. The two subs, so that's a thing, man. That should not be a part of our game at this point in the game, where players hear a horn and come onto the court. We need to address, I mean, sometimes we can get that early in the game, and we need to address that, right? But we should not have it here for second half action. We have a situation where the substitutes enter the court and they are not beckoned onto the court, so they are both at risk for substitute technical fouls. If they had any unsporting behavior in that situation, right, they would be liable for something else. They would be bench personnel because they were not beckoned in. They are not, the ball hasn't become live. They are not legally in the game. So they would be at risk for a bench technical foul if they, let's say, came in and, you know, the white player comes in and shoves 55 red and says, "Get off my guy," right? So, on the play, there's the foul. Outside officials observing. Trails moving in as lead, says, we got trouble, right? Gets in there. Right, but then we end up with three officials at the spot, right? It doesn't give us perception about what's going on with our potential substitutes coming in. So what are our options on any contact foul? We always have no call, common foul, intentional foul, flagrant foul. Those are always the options for a contact foul. In this instance, we could certainly go intentional. We'd also want to identify players, right? We see there's no remorse also by that player. We also want to identify players early in the game who are potentially players who work at the edge of the boundary of the rules or have attributes that lead to being irritating to opponents, right? So the coach's son, crafty, wily, does stuff, right? Or a player who, you know, pokes shooters when they go up, or, you know, there are players who are irritants in the game. That's one of their skills, right? They feel like, well, I bring that in, I get under the skin of my opponents, right? We need to identify those players early and obviously be aware of where they are on the court and what they're doing, and also be aware that they can lead to retaliatory action. That's almost like baked into the equation. That's what they're looking to do. Hey, let's look at a bonus play. All right, this clip is from the incredible Scott Bach-Hansen. We have a whiteout, right, situation where this is obviously going to be usually. Have you ever had this happen in your game? I've never had something like this happen, but it's obvious that everybody knows that this student section is going to take this action at this point in the game after the first score. You know, some student sections or fans may say we're going to stand until we score. In this situation, they're saying, okay, on the first goal, we're all going to throw toilet paper onto the court. It's a tradition. And, you know, a fun part of high school basketball. Everybody knows, the officials are clued in, the opponents are clued in. It's a thing, right? And we like the fun things that can occur in high school games. And we, you know, just need to be aware of how to administer this situation. This may be a situation where we are going to assess a team technical for fan behavior, and the coach says, absolutely, that's what we want. This is what we expect in this situation. Or maybe the agreement of the coaches in advance say, we're going to do this. We've got all the sweepers ready. They're going to clean all the stuff up within 20 seconds. So we're going to go to a timeout, something like that. But obviously the officials in this situation would be clued in and aware that this was going to occur. And this is a celebratory act. It's a fun part of high school basketball. It's not a spontaneous throwing of water bottles or something like that. We wouldn't want that. But it's always great to see this, the fun things, you know, the things that can occur in a high school game where the player at the end of the bench, a 30-30 player, as we like to say, they only get in the game when there's a 30-point lead or in the final 30 seconds or both, right? They get in the game, their teammates are trying to get them the ball, and if they score, the bench goes crazy, right? They're so excited for their teammate. And, you know, it's a great part of high school basketball. Obviously, end of season, we can get situations where we have a manager for a team and they suit up, they get in the game, they throw up a shot, the ball goes in, the place goes crazy. And those are super exciting parts of high school basketball. Hey, thanks for joining us today on 5 Play Friday. If you have any comments, put them in the comments below. If you have a question about a play, make sure to include a timestamp. Makes it much easier for me to find and comment or reply to the comment. And we look at all the comments on our videos. If this is the video content that you appreciate as a basketball official, time to do all the things. Hit like and subscribe and notify. We live stream every Wednesday and Friday. Join us for the live stream. Put your voice in the game so we can all get better together. Allow me to thank our fantastic channel supporters: Gerald Masucci, Danny Bermudez, Thomas Anticola, Phil Haddad, and Amilcar Garcia. Much appreciated and much love. You want to support the show? You can always head to abetterofficial.com/coffee. There's a link above, and there will be a link in the show notes below. Excellent. We have additional video content for you available here. Check this video out. This is our basketball rules expert from previously in the week. Here's a video that YouTube has chosen. Make your choice. Choose wisely. We'll see you.